The house was always silent, too silent for a mansion that stretched across acres of polished marble floors and golden chandeliers. The silence was not peace. It was suffocating. It was the sound of sorrow woven into every corner, every curtain, every room. And at the heart of it sat a boy of 17, Ethan Harrington, the only son of a man whose name carried wealth, influence, and power beyond imagination. But despite the empire his father controlled, despite the millions that flowed like water in their veins, there was one thing money had never been able to buy: Ethan's ability to walk. He had never taken a step in his life. Born with a rare neurological condition that robbed him of strength in his legs, Ethan's childhood had been spent watching the world from behind glass windows, from the height of his wheelchair. He had never played soccer with friends. He had never run down a hallway. He had never felt the freedom of standing tall. Doctors had tried. Therapists had tried. Machines had tried. Nothing had worked. And now, as the boy grew into a young man, the house only seemed to grow heavier with despair, like walls that mourned with him. But all of that was about to change the day a woman walked into their lives. A woman the family had not expected. A woman who carried nothing but her courage, her faith, and her scars. Right finger if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the miracles that love can spark. Please take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe to Royal Stories for more powerful tales that touch the heart. The Harringtons had gone through a string of maids and staff over the years. Most came for the money, stayed for the prestige, and left because of the silence, the unbearable silence of a boy trapped in despair and a father too broken to admit he was powerless. But then came Amina. She was different. She arrived with no polished resume, no prestigious background. Just a woman in her early 30s with dark, kind eyes that carried both pain and light, skin kissed by the sun, and a voice that seemed to soothe the very air when she spoke. She had left behind hardship, left behind scars that no one could see at first glance. To the Harringtons, she was just another maid. To Ethan, she was invisible at first. Just another face in the endless cycle of people who came and went. But what happened in the weeks that followed would alter the Harrington mansion forever. Amina noticed him, not just the boy in the chair, but him. His silence, his isolation, the anger that sometimes flashed in his eyes when he saw other kids on TV running, living, laughing. She noticed the way his father, Mr. Harrington, a man so powerful he could move markets with a single phone call, would stand outside Ethan's door at night, staring at his son as if trying to will him to heal, before walking away defeated. She noticed the absence of hope in this house of gold. And Amina, with her soft resilience, refused to accept that. One afternoon, while dusting the massive library, she began to hum. It was not a song anyone recognized, but it was a song full of spirit, of life. Ethan, rolling in quietly, paused at the door. He watched her move with rhythm, watched her sway ever so slightly to her own tune. Something in him stirred. For years, people had only looked at his legs, at his brokenness. But Amina moved as if his chair was invisible. She didn't pity him. She didn't flinch. She only turned, smiled, and asked if he liked music. That smile was the beginning. Day by day, Amina began to bring pieces of the world back into Ethan's life. She told him stories of her village far away, where children ran barefoot under the sun and laughter was louder than hunger. She spoke of hardships, of how she had lost family to sickness and poverty, but also of resilience, of people who refused to stop dreaming no matter how much was taken from them. Ethan listened in silence at first, but slowly, something inside began to thaw. He found himself asking questions, waiting for her stories, feeling something he hadn't felt in years: curiosity. But what truly shook the walls of despair was what happened one stormy night. The rain was lashing against the windows, thunder growling across the sky. Ethan couldn't sleep. He rolled his chair down the hall, and that's when he saw her, in the grand ballroom, alone, moving in a way he had never seen before. Amina was dancing, Not with a partner, not with music, not with elegance meant for others. She was dancing like someone who was fighting the storm inside her soul. Her arms cut through the air, her body moved with raw power, her feet stomped against the marble floor with defiance. She was unstoppable, wild, free. Ethan froze. He had never seen anyone move like that, so alive, so fierce. She was no longer the maid, she was a warrior, a survivor, a woman who dared the world to break her. His heart pounded as something he had buried for years erupted inside him, the desperate, impossible need to move. For the first time in 17 years, his mind screamed louder than his body, I want to stand. I want to dance. I want to be free. And then, as if pulled by an invisible force, Ethan's fingers tightened on the arms of his chair. His body shook, his legs trembled, useless and weak. But something ignited, something no doctor had ever found, something no machine had ever sparked. Hope, pure, raw, untamed hope. He gritted his teeth, pushed against the chair, and felt the impossible, the weight of his body pressing down on his legs. He stood. It was clumsy. It was shaky. It was only a few seconds. But it was real. The sound of his chair scraping startled Amina. She turned, gasped, and in that moment, their eyes locked. Ethan, sweating, shaking, on the verge of collapse, looked at her as if she had just unlocked the universe. And Amina, tears spilling down her face, whispered, Yes, Ethan. Yes, you can. From that night forward, the impossible no longer seemed impossible. Ethan began to push himself harder than ever. His father was stunned when he saw him trying to take steps with support. Doctors were called again, therapists returned, but this time it was different. Ethan's will had awoken. Every time he faltered, every time the pain screamed louder than his progress, he remembered that stormy night. He remembered the woman who danced like fire, who showed him that freedom was not in the body, it was in the spirit. But miracles are never simple. The closer Ethan came to walking, the more his father worried. Fear consumed Mr. Harrington, the fear of his son being hurt again, of seeing him fall, of watching hope turn to ashes one more time. He tried to stop him, begged him to be careful. But Ethan refused. He had tasted life, and he would not go back to silence. The tension in the house grew, but Amina never wavered. She became Ethan's anchor, his encourager, his shield against doubt. She carried him through moments when he wanted to quit. And slowly, step by trembling step, Ethan began to walk, not just for seconds, but across the room. Across the hall, across the mansion that had once been his prison. The day Ethan walked into the garden for the first time, the sun breaking through the clouds, the staff stood frozen. Mr. Harrington broke down in tears, dropping to his knees as he watched his son, upright and smiling, take steps on the grass. A boy who had never walked. A miracle no money had ever bought. And in the center of it all stood Amina, the maid, the stranger, the woman who had carried more strength in her spirit than the world could measure. She had given him not legs, but belief. She had given him life. Right finger if this story has touched your heart, if you believe that miracles are born from love, courage, and faith, then please show your support. Like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Royal Stories for more unforgettable journeys of the human spirit. Sparkle's special request. In the comments, write one thing you believe is truly impossible, but deep down, you wish it could happen. Who knows, your words might inspire the next miracle.